Monty in the Morning, the show Phoenix Magazine readers voted number one talk radio show in Arizona.
Number one during your morning commute.
Number one whenever news breaks during your day.
And number one whenever and wherever you want to talk sports.
Now it's time for Monty in the Morning.
Hey, yo, it is the Monty Show, Wednesday, January 27th, 2021. 3 days left in this forsaken week. Make sure you find us on YouTube. If you're watching this show on video, any of our video offerings, it's all coming to an end, bro. You gotta find us on YouTube, bro. Brother. The Monty Show, M-O-N-T-Y, The Monty Show on YouTube. Make sure you smash that subscribe button. I'm thirsty. I'm begging you. It helps the channel grow, and the channel is growing exponentially. It has been a meteoric rise, similar to the GameStop stock swap short. No, it hasn't. But make sure you follow us on YouTube, The Monty Show, M-O-N-T-Y, The Monty Show. Hit subscribe. Give us a thumbs up on that video. That would be amazing. A week from Friday, we will end our Periscope live streaming. So a week from Friday, our shows will no longer be on Periscope. We're doing that because we have, now established ourselves on YouTube, and it is time for you to make the switch to the greatness so that we may grow and thrive and make plenty of money off of you watching our show. So, well, I mean, he ain't wrong. I would encourage you to subscribe on YouTube, The Monty Show, M-O-N-T-Y, The Monty Show. And, of course, if you listen to this podcast, thank you so much. Our download numbers on the audio portion of the podcast are incredible as well. Just search The Monty Show wherever you get a podcast. So, I really want to talk, I do want to talk jazz. I do. I cannot wait. I cannot wait to talk about GameStop and day trading. Mm-hmm. So give me 10 minutes, and then we're going to talk about that. The Jazz win last night, their 9th straight. Austin Rivers was a first-half juggernaut for the Knicks. He scored 25 points, I believe, on 10 of 10 shooting.
Yeah.
And then never was heard from again in this game. Jake, are the Jazz now elite?
I mean, no. The NBA is streaky,
No.
right? Like, the Jazz are not an elite team. We've been over this, right? We've had this conversation, and it seems like every day someone on Twitter who's a Jazz fan is like, hey, we've won 9 in a row. We're going to win 10 in a row tonight. And it's like, no, at some point that's going to come to an end. And look, I mean, listen, they could finish first in the West. Maybe I'm just a moron and I'm an idiot and don't know basketball, but I'm just telling you right now, my opinion is that they're not a good enough team to continue doing this. Again, what's gonna happen here is they're gonna continue the win streak until tonight when they play a back-to-back against Dallas and get their ass handed to them, because that's all we know that's coming. So when that happens, then the conversation is going to change, and then we're going to be talking about how they were tired and how Porzingis beat up on Rudy a little bit, and how Luka put up 40 against the Jazz, and people are going to be all pissed off. And that's how this team works, man. You go on, you win 9 in a row, then you're going to lose a couple, and then the world's going to fall, and then they're going to start winning again. So to me, it's all those same issues, like consistency, not having enough firepower to match up with teams that are really elite offensively. So, no, I don't think they're elite. I do think they're very good.
Well, I think it'll be interesting to see how this team develops. They are living and dying on the three. The three ball did not go in the first half last night against the Knicks. They were able to overcome that, and I think we've seen this with a lot of teams. I think we've certainly seen this with the Suns, who at times go three ball happy, but you see when teams like the Suns, the Jazz, look at the Washington Wizards, don't call us bullets.
Yeah.
When Bradley Beal has a game like he had last night and he's leading the NBA in scoring.
And he's crying on the bench because they lost by 25.
Because Russell Westbrook shot 3 straight air balls at one point, including a layup. This league has turned into a 3-point league, and I totally get that. The Jazz are heavily reliant on the 3-ball. They win when they make it. They're going to lose when they don't. And they almost showed us that last night against the Knicks. Luka and the Mavs are coming in. And if they are healthy, look out, because that allows them to start Kristaps Porzingis at center. And I think against the Jazz, that is a recipe for disaster for the Jazz. If Porzingis is playing center, I just don't see that Rudy Gobert has a role in this game, because it's going to be very difficult for Rudy to hang with Porzingis on the perimeter.
Yeah, and the problem is Favors isn't exactly the best matchup either, because he's significantly shorter than Porzingis is, and that's really the awesome thing about Porzingis when he's healthy. He's a dominant player, and so I'll be really curious to see how they work with that, because I think it is tough.
I don't know. Last night was certainly one of Royce O'Neal's better performances. Certainly, him making a three makes him a different player. Bogdanovich shot the ball well. Obviously, Donovan got his in the second half, but I think what we're seeing is that they're improving, and they are a team that, when everything is firing well, they're very good. The Jazz are very difficult to deal with.
Right.
I just don't know how you continue this momentum going forward.
Yeah, I think the whole thing with them being so reliant on the three is it gets tiring to watch them. Like, I texted you last night, we were watching this game, and at one point I said to myself, man, they literally just don't have offensive flow. Like, if you watch Jazz basketball even if you just watch a quarter of Jazz basketball randomly, you'll notice that they don't run offensive sets. It's literally, okay, Donovan's going to bring the ball up or Conley's going to bring the ball up, okay? Now, if Conley brings the ball up, what are we going to do? We're going to pass the ball to the corner. It's going to come back to the top. We're going to swing it around. We're going to get to 10 seconds in the shot clock. Then we're going to play pick and roll. I mean, that's literally their offense. Like, that's all they do. And like last night I saw the Knicks running sets. I mean, obviously the other teams in the West run a lot of sets. You know, they have plays that are set plays that they run when they need to get a basket that gets them a really, really high-quality look. And to me, that's fascinating, because you're a team that does rely so much on the three, and it begs the question, hey, like, you know, is that because they don't run a lot of sets? Is not running sets an intentional choice that they're making? Because to me, if that's a choice you're making, you would only do that if you had really superior talent on the floor that you wanted to, like, if you're the Nets, right? Like, you can afford not to run sets because you have three of the best, individual scorers the game's ever seen, regardless of what you think of them off the floor, because I'm not a Kyrie guy, but he is one of the best scorers the game's ever seen. And so with the Jazz, I'm left thinking, okay, well, you don't have Kyrie and Kevin Durant and James Harden. You have Donovan Mitchell, who is an elite basketball player. You have Rudy Gobert playing in the middle, and then you've got a bunch of role players. So how does that work? How are we in a place where we're not running sets and getting really high-quality looks and creating those for guys like Donovan, guys like Conley? It's just it's really surprising to me, frankly. After I noticed that, I was like, man, like, why are they just playing pick and roll? Why are we not, like, running offense? I was really surprised by that.
Because I don't know if this is such an odd league right now. I don't even know how you describe, if you watch the NBA as much as I do, and I think we do, if you watch as much NBA basketball as we do, you've seen the game completely change, in my opinion, over the last 3 years. And now you're seeing teams abandon sets in offense to shoot the three. And I don't think it's good for the game. I don't. And I think it's turning guys like Donovan Mitchell into, instead of, let's call it a three-dimensional player, Donovan Mitchell's a two-dimensional player. It eliminates almost entirely the mid-range game, and it means you either go to the basket or you shoot a three. And that's all five guys on the floor, which, again, not to belabor this point, but this is why Rudy Gobert is not a $200 million player, right? This is why you don't pay that guy $40 million a year. We saw last night that there are long stretches where Rudy Gobert does not fit in against Julius Randle, Robinson, Barrett, like that lineup of forwards/guards that are out there all together.
Ultra athletic, lengthy players.
Yeah, and you look at the young and up and coming teams. I mean, you only need to point to your Golden State Warriors and James Wiseman. He'll figure it out. But if you look at the better teams, it's all guys that are big that can shoot. Again, who's probably the best center in the Western Conference?
A lot of people will say it's Jokic.
As a pure center, yeah, sure.
Yeah, as a pure center.
AD in LA, What does he do? I mean, he's a 4-5 guy,
yeah,
right?
He's kind of a hybrid. It really depends on the matchup. So, I mean, the way I like to phrase this question is who's the best big in the West? Because because of the way the league is played, we don't really have centers anymore. We have big men, on the floor because so many teams are running small. So, yeah, I mean, best big man in the West is definitely Anthony Davis. If you look at it from the perspective of, hey, who's the best player who plays the 5 every, night in and night out, I'd have to say it's Jokic.
Yeah, probably. I mean, because of his versatility.
I think
it should be Porzingis, if we're being honest, but he just has never developed.
I think it will be Wiseman in a couple years. I do, because I think Wiseman's incredibly athletic and he has the size to play the 5.
Eat fettuccine every day.
Yeah, dude.
Because homeboy's got to put on some weight. Right? Yeah. I mean, but that's my biggest concern for the Jazz. When you get down to the end of this and you're playing the Clippers, Zubats is not going to be on the floor.
No.
I mean, you're playing the Lakers. It's going to be Anthony Davis and Trez Harrell on the floor. How does Rudy Gobert fit into any of that?
Plus LeBron.
Well, yeah, that goes without saying.
But I'm just saying, if you think about, this is why I say, and Jazz fans hate it, but if you look at the matchup for the Jazz versus, let's say, the Lakers in what would be a Western Conference Finals matchup, because the Lakers are going to be the 1 seed, I just don't see how the Jazz compete with the Lakers. Because the Lakers just have so much talent. Trez Harrell and AD alone are going to be a problem for the Jazz. Let alone you putting Anthony Davis in there. Let alone putting Schroeder in the mix. Those are all guys that can get theirs.
A very underrated. Dennis Schroeder has been one of the most underrated acquisitions of the offseason in this league.
Yeah.
And I think he's earned every dollar and every ounce of trust and faith that they've put into him. And that's why they're elite. Because with all due respect, they're not trying to decide between Royce O'Neal and Joe Ingles, right? They're not trying to decide if Niang has any minutes tonight or how. That's not. They're trying to figure out how they get everybody involved.
Yeah.
They're trying to figure out how to bring in a guy like Cantavius Caldwell-Pope, who has become a real contributor for that team, and is really, if we're being honest about it, Cantavius is the only reason they have an NBA championship because he got hot.
Yeah.
And he was able to close. I mean, the role players will always define success. In the NBA, it's always going to be the role players. Teams like the Lakers and Clippers have them. Love them or hate them, a guy like Pat Beverly makes all the difference in the world.
Lou Williams?
Yeah, makes all the difference in the world. I look at the Brooklyn Nets and I look at a guy like Joe Harris, who is much better than a role player. But when you have, a ball hog like Kyrie and you have guys like James Harden and Kevin Durant who need the ball, frankly, because they're elite scorers in the entire world, Joe Harris is going to be a role player. And boy, is he a hell of a role player.
And he's fine with it, too, and that's the thing.
He buys into it.
Yeah,
he absolutely buys into it.
Yeah.
And I think you're exactly right about that. And I think that's where teams get separated in this league. And so if we're talking about whether it's the top of the Eastern Conference or the top of the Western Conference, what's the difference in the East? I look at guys like the Philadelphia 76ers. Ben Simmons is a role player on that team.
Yeah, and they're an average team, bro.
Yeah, their guy is Joel Embiid, without question. I mean, I look at Boston, they don't have a superstar because Jason Tatum is not broken out. And I know that everybody's talking about Jaylen Brown this year and the offensive production he's putting up. He's not a superstar, right? I look at teams like Boston who cut loose of a Kyrie Irving. Well, that was Kyrie's fault. Okay. I look at the fact that they cut loose of a Gordon Hayward. And now Gordon Hayward, because he's on the ball like he was, by the way, in Utah, he had the ball most of the time. Gordon Hayward's turning into an elite scorer again.
Yeah, he's finally putting up numbers. I mean, there was a stretch there that was really, really bad, and now I don't know what changed for him, but he's definitely producing now.
Yeah, and I just think the Jazz don't have that. It is truly Donovan Mitchell and everybody else.
Yep.
And when you're paying a guy, and I hate to keep going back to what a guy is paid because I think you're worth what you can get. And Rudy Gobert got $200 million and $41 a year. And that was a mistake. And it is, and I know it's probably tiring for Jazz fans to hear me say this because I hear about it on Twitter all the time. You start compounding mistakes with other mistakes. That's how you end up in mediocrity. And when you look at all those draft picks that went by the boards, when you look at the missed opportunities, why are you not hounding the Washington Wizards to make a Bradley Beal trade right now? Why are you not doing everything you can do to acquire an elite scorer to play alongside the only elite scorer you have in Donovan Mitchell? Why are you not? Instead, you're focused on paying Rudy Gobert because what the optics of letting him go would be bad for you. Well, I'm telling you that at some point you got to go and get a Bradley Beal. Whether you want to or not, you have to, or you're just going to be who you've always been, which is in the post, LHM era, you have not really been a significant threat in the Western Conference. You've been difficult. There's no doubt there have been times where most teams don't want to run into the Jazz, but if we're really truth-telling on the Jazz, this team needs to be bold. They need to flop it on the freaking counter and say, measure it, because we just went and got Bradley Beal. That's what this team needs, and I don't know that they're ever going to be there.
No, I completely agree. 100%.
Because until you are, and this is one of those things that I'm sure also pisses people off, until you are, you're not. Until you are, you're never going to. Until you do it, you've never done it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
So it's this whole thing where that's never been who the Jazz are.
No, they've always been a conservative, just going to scrape by kind of team.
And there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, I could go back to Stockton and Malone in the NBA Finals. What beat you in the NBA Finals? Because it wasn't Stockton and Malone.
Superior talent.
Superior talent and depth of talent beat you in the NBA Finals. It wasn't Hornacek. It turns out that, by the way, guys like Steve Kerr, guys like Bobby Hansen, guys like John Paxson and Horace Grant are where Michael Jordan's a GOAT. It's guys like, if you look at Kobe Bryant, sure, Kobe and Pau, Kobe and Shaq, absolutely. But you had a ton of guys that played roles on those teams that made a huge difference. That's what you don't think about. And so the struggle and what's real is, why do you think Horace Grant was a champion with the Lakers? Because he was a champion with the Bulls, and Phil Jackson wanted players who won.
Yeah.
Right? Like, that's not accidental.
And Jazz don't have any of those players, by the way.
Well, they don't have the Jazz have a bunch of glue guys.
Yeah.
If you had three real studs, like if you had Donovan Mitchell in any of your draft, if you had drafted Devin Booker and Donovan Mitchell and they were playing next to each other, guys like Mike Conley are fine. Those guys now fit in because they're not expected to score. If Mike Conley doesn't give you numbers, you're going to struggle. Because then again, if Bogdanovich, who is inconsistent, doesn't give you numbers, you're going to struggle. If Royce O'Neal doesn't keep you within arm's length of the Knicks last night, you'd have lost that game. If Austin Rivers wasn't a complete tool bag playing for the Knicks, who scores 25 in the first half, and then literally didn't even come out of the locker room with a uniform on.
Wet like I'm booked.
Right? Like, he was on fire in the first half.
And then what happened? Nothing.
Anybody seen Austin Rivers? Like, where did he go?
Cock-a-doodle-doo.
Right? Like, good morning. I don't know. Anyway, I'm really passionate about this in the NBA.
Yeah.
You have got roster construction is the number one fatality in the NBA.
Yeah, totally. It separates the elite teams from even the very good teams. 100%.
Portland is the exact example of this.
They've been sitting in the same position for over a decade now, wasting Dame and CJ. It's just the truth. That's what they've been doing.
At some point, you got to break those two up.
And by the way, how pissed off are Jazz fans going to be when we're having this conversation 5 years from now? Because we all know it's going to happen. In my opinion, it's going to happen unless something drastically changes.
Wait. Now that you've hit the subscribe button on YouTube, search it, The Monty Show, Monty, The Monty Show, and hit subscribe. You have a new owner that's young, a billionaire, dynamic, wants to win.
It's what we hear everywhere, though.
Owns the arena. Well, but I think if you look at, it's easier said than done. Is he going to be a Steve Ballmer who goes and gets Kawhi Leonard and Paul George and expects a championship only to fall apart because they have no chemistry? Probably not. But is this new owner a guy that'll go out and, again, flop it on the counter and tell him to measure it? And, hey, look, I just went and got Damian Lillard. I just went and got Bradley Beal. I just went and got C.J. McCollum.
Can you measure it?
I mean, seriously. Like, as the new owner of the Jazz, are you going to just remain where they've always been? Or are you going to go and make a difference in supposedly this was a dream of yours, and okay, well, are you just going to continue,
Yeah.
Are you going to dream or are you going to fantasize?
Yeah, I mean, are you going to do something about it? Because I have no faith that they will do something about it. They're going to have to prove that, because at the end of the day, what we always hear is, they sold the team and it's a new owner, and he was wearing a jersey as a kid, and he's got this great story, and then he shows up and he started counting nickels instead of counting championships. You know what I mean? And so that's why I say I know I'm the pessimist about the Jazz, but I'm not going to get my hopes up until they show me, hey, we're going to take this seriously. And by the way, I'd have no problem if they just, hung out this season and let this roster be what it is, and then got ultra aggressive in the offseason and did something about it then. I totally get it. You got to wait some time with the Rudy contract. Like, you're pretty much not in a place where you can do anything like right here today. So I would get it.
I would do everything right now today that I could do to trade for Bradley Beal.
Yeah, totally.
I would. If we've learned anything by the John Wall trade to the Rockets, there's a problem in Washington.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what that is. I don't know how you fix that. There's a problem in Washington.
Yep.
And if I am any team that's on the cusp, if I am any team that is good, not great.
You think the Heat aren't trying to get Bradley Beal?
I think, if I'm the Heat, especially in the East, the West is. See, but here's the other theory here. The West is open for business, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
The Lakers are going to be tired.
Right. They are tired. They're showing signs of being tired.
The West is open for business. So, if I am middle-tier teams,
mm-hmm.
if I am, but I mean, what do the Nuggets really need?
They need one more. They don't have enough.
I think they need a killer.
Yeah. Well, Bradley Beal's a killer.
If you put Bradley Beal with Jokic and Jamal Murray, does that work?
Yeah. Yeah, I think it does work. I think the only reason that there'd be any questions about that is because Jamal Murray, frankly, because he doesn't have Gary Harris is a nice little player, but he's not a wing scorer the same way Bradley Beal is.
I would agree.
If Bradley Beal was on the wing, you tell me that team wouldn't be much better. They'd have much more offensive flow. It's really a night and day difference. Think about what happened with the Jazz, or what happened with the Nets when Kyrie came back. Before Kyrie was playing, they had all that flow, right?
Yes.
And they had a nice chemistry because DeAndre Jordan is a low-key center. You've got KD and Harden, and then Joe Harris is in the corner. And so when you look at the Nuggets as an example, you've got Jokic in the middle, who you rely on far too much, but he gives you numbers. He plays at a really high level. You've got Jamal Murray running point, and then you've got Gary Harris who plays sometimes. So I think
he plays sometimes. He's making $20 million.
But I'm just telling you, he's been hurt. He's been doing things, and so then you've got the guy that we're not talking about with the Nuggets is Michael Porter Jr. The guy needs to develop. He needs to show up. It's time.
And he is.
Well,
he's contributing. I mean, it's just a matter of, I don't know. They need one more. The problem is they're another team that has not exactly wowed you with their cap management.
I look at the Nuggets. I look at the Blazers.
But the Blazers are, and again, who are you willing to trade? If you're the Portland Trail Blazers, who are you willing to trade? Because you're out of money.
Yeah.
You're out of money. And you look at, I actually think Damian Lillard's on a value contract at $32 million a year.
He is.
Right? I mean,
he'd be an MVP candidate in a different market.
He's on the wrong side of 30.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, he's not getting any younger. Let's be honest.
Yeah, they've wasted his prime. I know that sounds harsh, but that's what's happened.
Yeah, and I think I look at the rest of their money. Nurkic is making 13, Covington's making 12, and Rodney Hood's making 10.
Nobody else players.
And a bunch of role players.
Same issue the Jazz have.
So they've got $60 million and 45% of their cap tied up in two guys.
Mm-hmm.
And
the Jazz have that too.
The exact same thing. But it's worse than that for the Jazz. It's worse than that for the Jazz because you're also paying big money to Ingles, Clarkson, Bogdanovich, on top of Rudy Gobert and Mike Conley. are the two big guys that are paid on that team.
Yeah.
Notice I have not said Donovan Mitchell yet. You know, like, and his extension's coming, obviously. I think he signed, $150, $60 million deal. But right now, I mean, Mike Conley's going to be a free agent. That's a tradable contract. Go get Bradley Beal.
Yeah.
That's why I'm saying you have the flexibility to do that now.
I would love it. I mean, if they went out and got Bradley Beal, that drastically changes the conversation of where the Jazz are at and what they could do this season right now.
Man, paying Bogdanovich $17 million a year.
Yeah.
He just is not a guy. I don't know, man. I mean, you're essentially what would be swapping Beal for Bogdanovich.
Which is an upgrade for sure.
Yeah, but I don't know. I don't think they'll do it. If I look at the rest of the teams around this league, and I think you're more willing and more likely to see, guys like Bradley Beal wind up out west because they don't want to trade him.
Right.
And my God, I look at the Wizards cap. Jesus.
What cap?
$41 million to Russell Westbrook.
Nah, I'm fine.
And they owe him $92 million.
Bro, what are you talking about, man?
Oh, my God. That's why I say, Bertans, everybody was all boned over Bertans. He's making $15 million to make a couple of threes every night.
It's a nice living, bro.
We're in the wrong line of work. And who's the best team in the NBA right now? It's got to be the Lakers, right?
It's the Lakers, yeah.
So if you look at the Lakers cap situation, this is the beauty of the Lakers. Mm-hmm. And maybe this is...
They got some guy called Rob Pelinka who's running their cap over there.
Well, I mean, you're looking at 52% of their cap is tied up in Anthony Davis and LeBron James.
But the difference is those are Hall of Fame players.
Yes, those are two top elite players.
Right.
And I look at the rest of their roster. Dennis Schroeder's making $16 million on a free agent deal.
Justifiable contract. He's earning it.
KCP, $12 million.
A little high in my opinion, but fine.
But he's a glue guy. Montrezl Harrell's only making $9.2 million.
That's a great contract.
And he's going to be a free agent.
And by the way, the other thing that we're not talking about in this conversation is guys want to go and play with LeBron.
Yeah.
And it's not and I don't mean that as an indictment on Donovan. I'm just saying that what's helping the Lakers here is that guys do want to go and play with LeBron. And so they're willing to take less money because they know they're going to get to the finals.
I just look at the rest of their cap. Marc Gasol, Alex Caruso, you don't owe these guys any money.
Nope.
Kyle Kuzma, you only owe him $39 million. Hey, you want to give me Bradley Beal? Here's
Totally.
Here's Kuz.
Totally.
By the way, if I need to throw in a KCP, here's KCP.
Totally.
Right? Like the Lakers, that's the difference. You look at the Lakers cap, they have flexibility because they have two guys who every single night perform like superstars.
Cold-blooded, clean, methodical, and thorough.
Every single night out of
Every
LeBron
night,
and
baby.
AD.
Let's go.
Right? I mean, that's the difference. You're investing in anyway. It's been
all right. Can we get to GameStop because we don't have a lot of time left. I mean, we've got 40 minutes here.
Baseball Hall of Fame.
Okay, fine.
Why are you so anti-baseball?
Because everybody wants to say, "Oh, Curt Schilling should have got into the Hall of Fame." No,
right, but
he
they
shouldn't
can
have.
say that because they've hit the subscribe button on YouTube, Jake.
Great point. Damn, I forgot about that.
Search The Monty Show, Monty, The Monty Show. I'm thirsty as hell. Don't even kid
The
myself.
answer is yes.
Yes, The Monty Show, and hit subscribe on YouTube. Curt Schilling should not be in the Hall of Fame. As a baseball player, yes. As an anti-Semite, no.
Should the off-the-field stuff matter?
Absolutely. Because it is history. It is, in my opinion, this is the argument on Andrew Jackson versus Harriet Tubman on the $20 bill.
It's ridiculous, dude.
Right? Like, Barack Obama put in an order to have Harriet Tubman on the $20 bill by 2020 to celebrate 100 years of women's right to vote. It didn't happen because the Trump administration quashed it. Mm-hmm. And it's this whole thing where Andrew Jackson's a former president of the United States, a historical figure, who also created the Trail of Tears and kicked millions of American Indians off their land and sent them to slaughter.
Yep.
And was a slave owner, right? It's probably crazy. How do I equate that to Curt Schilling? Curt Schilling is out here tweeting support of the insurrectionists at the Capitol on January 6th.
Yep.
He is out here tweeting racist, just unforgivable things, and then deleting them because it's time to vote for the Hall of Fame. You can't ever delete a tweet.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
someone's got it.
To me, Curt Schilling is the worst of the worst kind of human being. And he does not belong in the Hall of Fame. And I know that is something that people, get upset about. And I know that's something that a lot of people, don't want to talk about. But you have to talk about their off-field stuff. If we are going to hold people to account for things like steroids and
yep. Which I think we should be, by the way.
If morals matter,
yeah, they do.
Then morals matter.
Yeah.
Curt Schilling is immoral. He has no morals.
Yeah.
He's a racist. By his own words, in my opinion, he's a racist.
Yeah.
By his own actions, Curt Schilling has shown me that, from my perspective, he's a racist.
Yeah.
So I don't believe he belongs in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, and I think the trouble is like everybody's so shocked that this time around for Hall of Fame voting that not a single person got put into the Hall of Fame. And I think, you have a combination of steroid guys, you have guys like Curt Schilling, and then you have guys who are borderline players, like Andrew Jones, like Omar Vizquel, like, Bobby Abreu, who had great careers, who you can definitely make a case that they should be in the Hall of Fame, but who aren't, like, no doubt about it, Hall of Famers, like a Derek Jeter or something like that. You know what I mean? So it's just kind of tough, but it upsets me a little bit that there's so many people who are like, oh, Curt Schilling should be in the Hall of Fame. It's like, no, dude, like, no, I get it. He had the bloody sock, and he did a lot of great things for the Diamondbacks and the Red Sox, and had a great career. But the off-the-field stuff does matter, and so that's why I say he should not be in the Hall of Fame.
And I think it's very difficult. It's very difficult to convince people of that. Because there's always going to be this crowd that says, well, he was a great pitcher, put him in. It's not like that. Mm-hmm. And by the way, I do think we should overhaul the Hall of Fame voting. I think I think that this is just the baseball writers of America. I want former players and managers and
well, the result would be totally different if that was the case.
Yeah, that's totally. What I don't. With all due respect, and I know I say this too much. Again, fans don't fucking matter. No. Like. Oh, there's going to be a fan strike. Okay, cool, man.
Cool, they're already doing it.
All right, we'll see you later. Like, when has a fan strike ever worked? In any sport, in any city? Do you really, we're going to boycott the Washington football team.
Because the problem is there's always going to be people there. Like, there's always going to be fans there. Like,
yeah. Do you really think they dropped the Redskins' name because of a fan strike? No. They didn't.
They dropped it because their advertisers wanted them to.
And money talks.
Yeah.
That's why. So... Fans largely don't matter. Mm-hmm. We're seeing that ticket revenue and concession revenue matter. If there was no pandemic, fans would be at every game. We'd have been at probably 20 more Suns and Jazz and Laker games. Mm-hmm. Right? I'd have been in LA for Lakers Celtics.
Well, we were talking about buying season tickets to the Suns when we were there.
Yeah, but then this little pandemic hit.
Yeah.
And Robert Sarver's a cock. But anyway, the point is. The Hall of Fame, I have no problem with nobody getting in.
Yeah.
Because I don't think, did Barry Bonds do more good than bad for the game of baseball?
No.
No, he didn't. Roger Clemons, more good than bad? No. Sosa?
Nope.
Certainly not.
Sosa's an interesting case because it is assumed that he used steroids, but that's not why everybody hates him. Everybody hates him because of the cork bat incident. That's why everybody hates Sammy Sosa. And then the way he's handled himself after his career. Because he was never technically found positive. Like, there was never.
I would agree with that. Yeah.
Hey, he never tested positive. But when you look at the era he was playing, it's pretty much just assumed that. Yeah, I mean, he was taking. I mean, pretty clearly.
Well, and I agree with your good friend Eric and Raleigh. Mm-hmm. Baseball writers are irrelevant as newspapers die, and information is available everywhere. The Hall of Fame voting is the last bastion of relevance for the writers. Well, first of all, I totally disagree with that. I think. The guys that cover baseball on a daily basis, the best guy that is probably one of the Andrew Baggerly in San Francisco comes to mind. Mm-hmm. Guys that really, Hank Schulman in San Francisco, like the Giants happen to have a great beat writers, huh?
Nightingale.
Yeah, Bob Nightingale's not bad.
Yeah.
Ken Rosenthal, Lawrence Sherman. Like, there's a bunch of guys.
Yeah.
But my point is, baseball writers are not irrelevant. I think the issue is that we get into situations where they become self-important.
I would agree with that. Yeah, totally.
That's the issue. All right. Make sure you smash that subscribe button on YouTube, The Monty Show, Monty, The Monty Show. Should we talk about, well, not should we, we're going to. Mm-hmm. And if you don't like it, you should still hit subscribe. Let's talk about GameStop and day trading. Because this whole thing right here is pretty amazing. And if you have not followed what's going on with GameStop was essentially a $3 stock, and it was going the wrong direction. GameStop is one thing. I need an Xbox or I need NBA 2K. I'm going to go to GameStop and buy it. Oh, wait. Now you can get that on Amazon, at Costco, everywhere.
Bro,
online.
You can get it on your console. You can just download it on your console now.
You can buy it direct. There's no reason to ever walk into a GameStop.
Yeah.
So why are we pushing $200? Why are we just juggernauting the GameStop stock?
All gas, no brake.
Like, literally, there's not even a brake pedal in the car on GameStop.
It's just a gas pedal.
It is remarkable what is going on with GameStop. And you know what I think is amazing is that you have a situation where a bunch of people on Reddit essentially got together and said, no, you're not going to short the GameStop stock. We're going to outdo you, and we are just going to flood the market with buy on GameStop. And boy, if they haven't. Yeah. And if you look at where GameStop is now, we're talking about guys like Elon Musk getting in to GameStop. You look at a guy like Michael Burry, the original Big Short on the mortgage industry. He shorted, like, The Big Short, the movie.
Yeah.
Go see it if you haven't. He owned roughly $17 million in GameStop stock, which is now worth $250 million. Like, this is no joke anymore. And it really, the thing that's fascinating to me is the people who shorted GameStop stock. That's hard to say.
Yeah.
The people who shorted GameStop stock have now lost billions of dollars. For no other reason than a bunch of people on Reddit decided to screw with the people that were shorting.
Yeah.
And just dumped tens of millions and now billions of dollars into GameStop stock. And it has just pushed it up. Mm-hmm. Do you like this? Why am I fascinated by this?
Well, it's fascinating, frankly. I mean, the whole idea of a situation where it is not a situation that is simple math, right? It's not A plus B equals C in these kind of situations with the stock market. It is totally a consumer opinion-driven thing. So in this case, you're right. It was totally retribution because people were pissed about how many shorts there were on the stock already. And so they were just essentially, this is like a schoolyard beef essentially, right? Like they were upset with something that had happened. So they decided, hey, we're going to do this to screw you. And we don't really care what happens. And now we're here. And that to me is what's so crazy about day trading on the stock market, whether you do it sometimes or for a living or whatever, like however you do it. It's just such a fascinating thing. You can make so much money in, like, I'm not kidding, in literally 5 minutes, you can make a ton of money. But in 5 minutes, you can lose your ass. And that's the crazy part about this whole thing. So, yeah, I think it is fascinating. I think it's classic American capitalism. I think it's classic, like, hey, this is how money moves in our stock market. And I love these kind of stories, man. I think it's amazing.
Well, the thing that's fascinating about this is, and as of 7 a.m. Mountain Time, GameStop closed at $147.98 yesterday.
Right.
It's 52-week low, and if you don't know these terms, 52-week low, 52-week high, over the last 52 weeks, 1 year, the low was $2.57. It's going to open at $210 $2.51.
Yeah.
It was at $2.57.
That's the price per share, by the way.
Yes, it's going to open today at $210.51. Overnight in the foreign markets, it was at $243.10. Like, are you kidding me? Like, and this is after it closed yesterday at 147.98. Its high was 240. It gained $100 in after hours trading.
Yeah.
Like, this is nothing to play with.
And that's the fascinating part. It's not just here. Like in the under, like, I don't even fully have my head wrapped around like how the entire process of the stock market works.
6,000%.
But like just the idea that a stock, because the whole reason this story is even a thing is because we're talking about GameStop. We're not talking about like a blue chip like, Disney. We're not talking about like some major brand. I mean, yeah, GameStop is a big brand in the gaming world, but it is dying because of what you were saying, because now we can get everything digitally. So, I can remember going to GameStop as a kid to get games and to do things. In fact, that was like some of the best days I had,
Yeah.
But like now it just doesn't matter because, my Xbox One at home, I can just download the game right off the internet. Like, it's not even a big deal,
But what this is, and I hope people will wrap their arms around this, this is what it is in 2021. It's Twitter, it's Reddit, it's YouTube, it's Instagram. That's how GameStop stock has risen 6,000%.
Crazy,
when
dude.
Elon Musk is tweeting to his 43 million followers, buy. And what do those people do? They go and buy.
Yeah.
And Reddit is powering this.
Did you buy?
No, frankly.
Yeah.
Because I think ultimately what's going to happen is I agree with Michael Burry. The balloon is going to burst.
Yeah, at some point.
And and the sad thing is people who are like, oh, well, I'm a day trader once a year. Here, I got $5,000. I'll just throw it in there.
$5,000. That's a lot of money.
A guy on Reddit yesterday said he's never traded before. He's going to buy $5,000 in GameStop stock, and he's going to wait until it gets to 400 and sell.
It's never going to get.
It's never going to get to 400.
I don't think it's ever getting to 4. But see, but this is why the stock market's crazy, because Jimmy in Nowhereville, Kansas, is following this, and he's saying, well, if I put 5,000 in, that means I'm going to turn that into $1 million. But if it just gets to 400, and we're going to be good. The problem is, Jimmy, on Friday or Monday or in a couple days, the stock's going to plummet, and you're going to lose your $5,000, and you're going to be pissed off, and you're never going to try the stock market again. But whereas you got guys like I saw on Twitter this morning, I don't remember his name, but basically said, hey, I've had this stock at $3 for 20 years. It was just in my thing. And now it's at 200, whatever it is, 210 or whatever it was. And you have people like that who have made their money now. They've made their killing. They've made their $250 million or whatever it is, and they're going to pull out.
Well, what's interesting is Joe says I bought $5,000 when we were at $52 a share.
He did. Wow. Okay. So he's making money.
I put another 10 in at $75.
So you're $15,000 in.
I have a sell order for $255. The question, Joe.
So Joe, wait. But Joe, how do we know how much money that would make, Joe? Is there any idea on that?
I don't know, Joe.
Joe is. Not even exact numbers. Just like a ballpark. Like what are you talking about making on that?
Yeah, he is. He's in an interesting spot because here's the question: it's probably not going to get to 255. I wouldn't guess it would get to 255.
Yeah.
So
it's at 210. You said.
Joe said, "I'm not comfortable putting out there what my profit will be, but we are closing in on middle six figures."
Okay. Fair. That's all we're looking for. So, I mean, that's a really nice profit.
He said, I've got a bunch of friends. We pooled more money. So we kind of set up a fund. This is what you're missing, Monty. We set up a fund in 36 hours. with 17 of our closest friends and coworkers. Like, that's how day trading works.
Yeah.
And by the way, we didn't tell anybody we were going to talk about this today.
Yeah.
So this is just a totally random conversation with a guy who's got 15 G's of his own money
I think it's
into a pot
fascinating.
with 17 other people.
Yeah.
And they're looking at $500,000 in profit in less than a week. In less than a week.
It's crazy. It's amazing.
My brother day trades on a regular basis. He is watching minute by minute. We are likely to dump if it goes. Wow, what if it goes below 195? We will dump.
But see, and again, and this is what we were just talking about, right? I feel like we're covering a live sporting event or something right now, right? Like, we're at a place where it's at $210. If it keeps climbing, people like Joe that just commented are going to keep pushing. You know, they're going to put money in, right? People are going to keep buying,
Yeah.
And the confidence is going to keep building that there's still a steady climb. You know, you've got the guy, you know, not Joe, but the other guy who put in $5,000 and is hoping to get to 410 or whatever he said, right? You have those guys. You've got this guy, Joe, who's got him and 15 buddies who put in a ton of money in 36 hours, and they're going to make a ton of money back. So the question is, and again, this is what I love about it. Where's it going to go? Because this is kind of the same idea as like gambling, right? Not that day trading is gambling. It's different, but it's kind of one and the same.
Yeah.
In the sense that, you know, if you put a bet together in Vegas, let's say, you don't know if that bet's going to come through. Whereas on day trading, you're making an educated guess, I would say.
But now Barry bought. He put 10,000 in on AMC Entertainment. You got 10 G's, Barry? He put 10 G's on AMC Entertainment. And see, this is the thing. He put 10 G's at $2.20.
Okay.
And I almost bought yesterday. I was actually sitting there talking to Mrs. Monty. Mrs. Monty and I work 3 feet next to each other. Mm-hmm. We're both incredibly loud talkers.
You have the command center down here.
Yeah, we do. And somehow we were. I was sitting there telling her we should buy AMC stock. Because like I don't day trade, but I have an E-Trade account.
Right. Yeah.
Like she's into pot stocks. She is.
I love that.
She's made a ton of money on pot stocks.
Right.
Like I'm in heavy on American Airlines and GE are my two big gainers. But oh my goodness, he put in $10,000 at $2. They're at $4.96 right now.
So it's moving.
So he's made double his money.
Yeah.
And if you just do some quick math on that.
Yeah. He's over double.
What did he say he bought at $2.02?
Yeah.
That's incredible. 10,000 divided by 2.02 is 4,950 shares.
Right.
Times $4.96. He's made himself about $27,000.
Yeah, he's over double. Yep.
He is way over double.
Yeah.
Barry, when are you going to sell? Because my guess is that he's going to see much more than that because that stock's going to open at 823.
Yeah.
You know, like I mean,
23.
Yeah, dude. It is going to open at 823, and at this moment, Barry, if my math is correct, you've made yourself $30,742 in the span of 2 days.
Just like that.
Just like that.
And that's why day trading is amazing, dude.
Yeah.
But the thing is like, you know, I feel like you know. What did he say?
Barry said, "Thanks for airing my dirty laundry, prick." He said, "LOL," but I mean that's what day trading is. The problem is I'm not a $10,000 day trader.
Right.
I'm just not. Like I follow it. I am a Motley Fool guy. I am a Market Watch guy. I have alerts from both of those, which is cool. But I'm at a point where I'm trying to open a business right now. Like. Mm-hmm. I mean, I guess if I day traded and hit a home run, we could open 10 businesses. I'm not willing to take that risk.
Right. It is a lot of risk. It is, yeah.
It's a huge amount of risk. And I look at what's going on in the world. Like, we also happen to own Pfizer stock. Mm-hmm. Like, we happen to own Apple stock, which is split again. Mm-hmm. You know, like, you can make your money on these things. And we're up thousands of dollars, not hundreds of thousands of dollars. The market's been good to most people the last 12 months. If you got in, even if you're like us and you just have a Schwab where you put money in, and this is, you know what was interesting? I was talking to a guy at Yelp yesterday that I work with, and he was telling me that he's got a Schwab account through a financial advisor. He's got like $60,000 tied up in the Schwab account. And he was telling me, well, hey, I have X amount of money that I'm willing to play with. And he said, I know that you E-Trade. Would you E-Trade? And it's over $100,000. Would you E-Trade with that money? And I said, it depends. Like, what happens if you lose every penny of that money?
Well, and that's the question you have to ask.
And he said, well, I would probably be paycheck to paycheck at that point. And I said, no, I wouldn't. Maybe half of it, maybe a quarter of it. $25,000 on E-Trade is going to take you a long way.
Yeah.
If you day trade with $25,000, you probably are going to make at least a 25% return on that money.
Right.
If you're smart and you do your homework and you don't reaction buy,
Yeah.
you're gonna do well. If you follow the market and if you follow, like I follow a ton of stock guys on Twitter, and I actually got into this because I have alerts on Reddit for stock, because Reddit is actually a good place for stocks. But my point is, I still think the financial advisor Schwab perspective has a lot of credence to it. Give those guys your money. Let them buy your mutual funds. Let them buy your one-off stocks. Like our guy buys us Microsoft, Costco, Apple, like he buys us the blue chips.
Right.
Because you're going to go long on those.
Yeah.
And that's going to be your retirement. And we're way up in our Schwab, by the way. Our guy's done a great job.
Yeah.
Like, hey, you feel comfortable with that. We put money into that account every single month, right? We don't play much on E-Trade. We should probably play a lot more.
Yeah.
Frankly. But when you're trying to open a business and you're trying to look good financially, you really don't spend any money at all, which sucks. But it's just really interesting. This whole thing is fascinating to me, I guess, is where I'm at.
Yeah.
Right? So I'm happy with my financial advisor, but like I was telling this guy at Yelp yesterday, if you've got that kind of money, it shouldn't just be sitting in your savings account.
No.
Frankly, if you've got $10,000 or more in extra money, it shouldn't just be sitting in your savings account.
Yeah.
If it is sitting in your bank account, you better have it earmarked for something.
Yeah.
It needs to be doing, like I've got money sitting in my accounts right now because we're opening a business.
Yeah.
So if I wasn't, I would be doing something different with it.
Right.
It would not just be sitting in my bank account earning money for Wells Fargo.
Right.
Like it wouldn't. So my point is, I think if you have a bunch of money sitting there and you're not of an entrepreneurial mindset, you better be putting that money somewhere.
Yeah. Yep.
Yep. By the way, Yelp released a bunch of stats yesterday, which I thought was really telling. And I think I sent this to you. A lot of people have told me how crazy I am to be opening a business this year.
Well, I don't think you're crazy.
Actually, am I crazy? Because Yelp says that new business starts, especially in restaurant and home services.
Yep.
So contractors, flooring guys.
Guys who come to your house to do things.
Yes, people who come to your house, plumbers, electricians. Those new business starts are at pre-pandemic levels in home services.
Yes.
In the restaurant business, they're at near pre-pandemic levels over the last year. New openings were up year to year in Q4 for grab-and-go food services, including food trucks, dessert, gourmet food stores, and bakeries. Like, you're looking at a massive amount of people opening takeaway food options.
Yeah.
As they should be, because that market sector has exploded in the pandemic. Because you're an idiot, but there are people who go and sit down in restaurants still today, if you can believe that.
Yeah.
Most people are grab and going.
Yeah.
Mrs. Monty and I are 100% grab and go.
Yeah. Yeah.
Unless it's Mo Betta's and the place was empty the other day, and so we ate there. But in this day and age where I can have Cafe Rio on my doorstep in 15 minutes, it's right down the street here in Daybreak. In what do they call the district?
The district, yeah.
I can have Cafe Rio on my doorstep in 15 minutes.
It's great.
In this sector of the restaurant industry, you'd be crazy if you have $100,000 burning a hole in your bank account. You got to figure something out.
Yeah.
Right? Like the grab and go dessert business is massive right now. It is one of the healthiest sectors in the new business startup world.
Because it's simple, it's efficient, it's easy.
And there's a huge demand for it.
Yeah.
Grab and go American, huge right now.
Yeah.
The only sector, and I want to say that it was either the Wall Street, somebody wrote an article about the different food categories that are doing well and those that are not. Chinese food and fresh fish is suffering right now.
Right.
And I think there's a stigma around, the the China virus, the Wuhan flu,
Right.
Like all of these things. What did Trump call it? The Kung flu.
The Kung flu.
I think it really damaged the Asian food market in this country.
Yeah, I would agree.
I think he did real damage to that. I think though, when you look at what's doing well, grab and go Mexican, grab and go American, which is burgers and fries, and grab and go dessert.
Yep.
Grab and go dessert is like, how is this possible? That grab and go dessert has become the number one sector in grab and go food store.
Because it's easy. It's
amazing.
Easy. It's not. It's in and out. That's it. Like people just want efficiency. That's all.
By the way, are you going to day trade?
I not for a living, no. But I would totally get into it. Yeah.
Dip your toe in the water.
Yeah. I mean, I've always been fascinated by it, and I know people who do it. Who do it for a living? Obviously that's a totally different ballgame. But I know people who do it.
Make sure you hit that subscribe button on YouTube, The Monty Show, Monty, The Monty Show, to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Really appreciate everybody that's watching, everybody that's taking part in the show on a daily basis. We also have several playlists. You can watch all of our live streams. We every day cut up the biggest topics on the show. Like we will cut up this day trading. We'll cut up the Jazz today. I don't know if we're going to cut up Kellyanne Conway posting a nude of her daughter.
Bro. Dude.
Did you guys hear
what are you
this
doing,
story?
Bro? Why?
I am interested to see how this plays out. So Kellyanne Conway, who is the former consigliere of disgraced President Donald Trump. She used to be Donald Trump's top advisor when he was president. Mm-hmm. She left the White House in August of 2020 because her family started melting down.
Right.
Mainly her daughter Claudia filed for emancipation to be declared an adult. Now that clearly didn't go anywhere. But that has not stopped Claudia Conway from using her TikTok account daily to surreptitiously or without her knowledge record Kellyanne Conway at one point calling her an effing bitch, just lobbing F-bomb after you're a disgrace to our family, you're an embarrassment, you're an effing, literally, you're an effing bitch, you're a disgrace to this family.
Yeah.
You're saying this to a 16-year-old girl.
Yeah.
Your daughter. Well, it's been well documented, right? So things had calmed down. And then about the last 2 weeks it picked up. And now yesterday news broke that somebody hacked Kellyanne Conway's Twitter account and used her stories, because why the frick we need stories on Twitter? It's called Instagram, sir. Hacked her story. What do they call it? The flow or whatever?
I think it's called Flights.
Yeah, there you go. Whatever the stupid story tool on Twitter is.
I need to know now. Hang on. I'm gonna.
So Kellyanne Conway's Twitter flow, bro. Hey, bro, let's flow.
Fleets.
Let's click it. Let's kick it and fleet together.
Yeah, fleets.
Somebody supposedly, allegedly, hacked Kellyanne Conway's fleets, bro, and posted a nude photo of her daughter, Claudia. There's more. The photo is actually a picture of Claudia's phone, where Claudia was taking a nude photo of herself in a mirror that apparently was topless. Obviously, this is a 16-year-old girl.
Yeah.
This is child pornography.
Yeah.
And it's not, well, I would assume, I looked at the story on Wall Street Journal.
Yeah.
The New York Post, and I want to say TMZ had it. And thankfully, nobody's showing that picture. But what they've done is they've blurred out her body, the nude part of her body, and they've showed the picture of her phone that's on her mother's Twitter account, which was since deleted, and Kellyanne Conway says she was hacked.
Mm-hmm. Sure she was.
The problem is nobody believes Kellyanne Conway. Well, because you just spent 4 years lying to America every chance you got. You know, like alternative. She's the one that came up with alternative facts.
Yeah, okay.
What's an alternative fact? It's called a lie. This is a bizarre story. And I don't know what you do. Do you prosecute Kellyanne Conway for child pornography? Probably not.
No.
Not sure how you're going to get there.
I don't know what you do. I think it's extremely difficult. It is difficult. I don't know what you do. I think that the Conways are totally dysfunctional and just not in a great place. And I clearly this has been going on for many years. I mean, the idea that a 16-year-old child is putting the time in to look up filing paperwork to be recognized as an adult as a 16-year-old is crazy to me. That means you put in effort. That means it's gone way too far. This isn't, hey, we had a fight over dinner. This is clearly repeated issues. So
Fat Jesus says we all know Biden was behind the photo.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Gramps.
Don't lie to me.
Gramps got frisky. I don't know. This is assault, in my opinion. What we've seen, the evidence in totality. That means all the evidence together.
That's a really big word, though. Good job.
Thank you.
Really nice.
I'm proud of myself.
Mm-hmm.
In totality, it looks like this is child abuse. And she's 16, I guess, at this point. And I would be interested to see exactly how she, how she deals with this. I just don't know on what earth it's okay to curse at your daughter like that. Like, you can say a lot of things about me. I've never spoken to you like that.
Mm.
We've had some heated exchanges, as all parents and their daughters do. But it's not like that. I've never heard anything that bad.
Right.
And
it's pretty bad.
I had an interesting childhood, and I saw some things. I don't ever remember my parents trying to post nudes of me or my brothers and sisters.
Yeah.
Like, I don't ever remember that.
Well,
happening.
she was hacked. She didn't post it. So.
Oh, good call.
Yeah,
Thank you for clarifying that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Real quick before we get out of here. HBO Max. Denzel Washington, The Little Things.
Mm-hmm.
How are you watching TV? Because you had an issue with R.C. Willey.
Right.
Where you bought some furniture and they decided to hang on to it for 6 months.
Yeah, just $5,000 worth of furniture. So not a big investment in the company.
You move into your own apartment. Congratulations.
Yeah, thanks.
You move into your own apartment.
Uh-huh.
A shaggin' shack.
Mm-hmm.
You buy a bunch of furniture from R.C. Willey. You buy a power recliner. You buy a king bed.
And bed set.
Box springs, a mattress, headboard, footboard. Like you're a full-grown box-pounding adult.
Right.
And you also buy an oversized chair and an entertainment center.
Right.
Which were supposed to be delivered with all your other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But now they're telling you that stuff's not going to be delivered until the end of March.
Well, they were telling me that. But it's funny how the story changes. So.
Oh, do tell.
Yeah, so I mean, I don't know what you did because you had asked me about it, and I was like, yeah, they're saying the end of March, and then, you were like, cool, I'll call them, whatever. So you did what you did, and then it changed. And then, I get a call from the GM, good old Tommy. He calls me, and he says, hey, we had an initial conversation, and then he's been pretty good. I mean, it's funny how when you lean on somebody, the timelines change. So now I'm supposed to get this chair in the first week of February, and the entertainment.
Oh, really?
And the entertainment center is supposed to be here soon as well. So I don't know.
No kidding. Okay, so we're dealing with the R.C. Willey store in Draper, and the general manager's name is what?
Tom.
So I called and talked to a furniture manager, who essentially said, "Hey, it's COVID. You're going to have to deal with it." And I'm used to an exceptional level of service at R.C. Willey.
They usually do a pretty good job. I mean,
being the largest bank in Utah, you would expect R.C. Willey to do a great job. We've spent countless thousands of dollars at R.C. Willey.
Right.
Love that store. It's our go-to furniture store.
It's a great store.
We've
No
always
doubt.
had a great experience until right now.
Yeah.
So I call the furniture manager at the Draper store, and he's like, hey, yeah, it's the pandemic. And the guy joked and said, maybe you've heard about coronavirus.
Uh-oh.
And I was like, okay. And I said,
try to stay calm and not curse.
Right. So I actually said to the guy, hey, man, that's not really funny. I got a guy sitting on the floor in his apartment right now.
I just thought that you would appreciate me treating you like an adult.
Right? So I said to the guy, I said, hey, that's not really funny. I got a guy sitting on the apartment floor right now. I need a solution.
So I said, yeah.
And he said, well, they're just not making it. And I said, well, I said to the guy, then why did you sell me furniture that you couldn't deliver on? You gave me a delivery date that was in January, and now you're telling me it's end of March. What? And he said, what would you like us to do? And I said, I want you to get the furniture that I bought, that you've already charged me for, that I'm already paying for, and deliver it. Well, that's not possible. We'll update you, but you can expect the chair to be there, this oversized
Chair and a half. With an ottoman.
Beautiful piece. To be there at no later than the end of March. We'll keep you updated. And I said, okay, frankly, I'm not real happy with this level of service. I'd like to talk to the general manager of the store. And I was calm and I didn't curse. I was pretty proud of myself. Because I've been known to go Kellyanne Conway at times when things don't go my way.
That's what fucking ticks me to fuck off!
Angry Vic. The comic Angry Vic is who that is, by the way. I've been known to be angry Kellyanne Conway at times.
Vexes me.
I'm terribly vexed.
Terribly vexed.
And so I said, hey, man, that's not the answer I'm looking for. I'm going to want to talk to your general manager. Oh, well, we don't need to do that. He's not going to be able to give you a different answer. And I said, okay. This is where the guy got pissed. I said, okay, well, he can give me the same answer you just gave me, but I doubt that's going to happen. And he said, fine. I'll leave a note on his computer and he will call you.
We're getting somewhere.
He was off that day. Yeah. But he didn't call me.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't call me. So I called again, and that's how I got him to call you, because I talked to his assistant, who was like, wow, I'm really sorry this happened. That's when the tone changed. When you get to the top of the food chain and you're talking to the lion with a bloody face who's just mauled Ashley furniture to death at RC Willie, frankly, she was like, wow, I'm really sorry you had that experience. Let me help you. We're going to take care of this.
Just take it nice and easy. Okay? Just relax.
We're going to take care of this. And so he called you.
Oh,
and
yes,
everything's been at Tom, the general manager of the RC Willie and Draper.
Very good. He's been excellent in his duties, and
he actually lent you an entertainment center.
Yeah. So first of all, here's how this played out. So he calls me, and he actually called me when the three of us were out at a business meeting. And so I'm getting a call. It's an 801 number. I'm like, damn, like, who's this? Like, why am I getting an 801 number? Which is, Salt Lake City area code. So I answer it, hey, it's Tom at RC Willie. I got wind that something was going on. Like, he was acting like he wasn't informed, which is a classic sales tactic.
Yes.
So I'm like, okay, that's what this guy's going to try and do. Okay, I get it. And so I explained it to him. I said, look, dude, I gave you $5,000, right? I got 2 pieces here, 3 pieces, whatever it is. But I don't have the main stuff that I need, like the entertainment center. So my TV's set up on a stand-up desk that's in a box from Costco on top of a glass nightstand.
So he delivers you an entertainment center, and essentially all of a sudden you're getting your stuff.
Yeah. So one thing leads to another. And he's like, okay, let me go look what we have in the warehouse, and we'll get you something. So they deliver it. I got the thing now; it's set up, and apparently I'm supposed to get my stuff like early February now.
That's great.
So
I'm thrilled about that.
Yeah,
RC Willie gets it done. Sometimes you got to complain, but RC Willie does take care of you. I've never had an issue with them before. So there you have it.
Yeah.
All right, make sure you follow us or find us on YouTube, The Monty Show, MONTY, The Monty Show. Smash that subscribe button, friends. Really appreciate it. It helps the channel grow. We will be back tomorrow morning. Thanks to everybody who commented. Good luck. If you're in on GameStop today, good luck to you.
We're talking about it again tomorrow.
We will.
Don't you worry.
We'll keep you updated on that. Until tomorrow, say thanks, Reddit.
Thanks, Reddit.